everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and we've got an old friend back with us now. It's been about 4 years since we last spoke to Jimmy Waldo of Alcatrazz, and boy, what a treat it is to always talk with Jimmy. And he joined us to talk about the band's new album of some re-recorded Alcatrazz songs from back in the 80s, plus two new ones. The two new ones, just so you'll know, would be Transylvanian Requiem and Stand and Wait Your Turn. And with this album, Prior Convictions, it's stepping up and taking the band to a whole new level. And Jimmy and I, we just talked about everything, but especially about this album and what all went into the recording of this. I think you're really going to love this chat. It's a long one, I'll warn you, so be ready to, well, you may as well just get your favorite drinks. I'm a LaCroix water drinker myself, and pop some popcorn and just watch and enjoy this very fun interview with Jimmy Waldo. While you're at it, as I always ask, would you please hit like? And if you're not already a subscriber, would you please subscribe to Boomerocity wherever you're watching or listening to this from? It shouldn't cost you anymore. I'm not going to charge you for it, and it helps Boomerocity out tremendously. So without any further ado, here's my second interview of what I hope are many, many more interviews to come with Jimmy Waldo of Alcatrazz. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hello.
Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great. Very good.
Okay. Sorry, I just came downstairs. I didn't realize I was coming, trying to make it for 11, so sorry.
That's all right. Is it too early for you? Do we need to hang up and come back on?
Need to hang up. I need another 20 hours of sleep, man.
Oh, man.
No, I get up early.
Oh, do you? Good deal. Where are you clicking in
I get
from?
up early. I was just, I was down here working early, and then I looked at the time. So then I went upstairs and did what I had to do, my household chores, and then come back for this. So I'm good.
Well, I appreciate it. Where are you clicking in from?
Chicago.
All right. Good deal. A little nippy up there, huh?
It's getting there. It's like, it's been unbelievable so far. The weather's been like the perfect spring weather.
Really? Wow.
And very unusual for this time of year. Let's see, what's it, October? Late October. Usually by now it'd be cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, I don't even wear a coat most of the days. If I go out, I don't wear a coat. So it's just getting now to the point where if you go out at night, you really gotta wear a jacket.
Yeah, same here. Not quite that bad, but getting there. The leaves are falling, and overnight's getting into the 40s for us.
Where are you?
I'm in the Smoky Mountains. I'm in Sevierville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. My brother's lives in Nashville.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, and I come to Nashville all the time, see him.
I'm overdue. I'm overdue to go there. I worked there for about a year and loved it. Then the pandemic hit. They sent us all home, so I came here, and things changed. And I've been back a couple times since then. But gosh, fun town, a lot of fun, especially for music.
Yeah, my brother and he lives out in Brentwood, so we just hang out there, out that way. We don't even go into the city really. We a couple of restaurants that he likes that we go to, but mostly just hang out at the house.
Yeah, I have an aunt, I guess you could say almost a great aunt, but she lives in Brentwood, and usually when I go there, I try to stay down near Cool Springs Mall. There's a few hotels there I like, but I have cousins over in the Sylvan Park area. That's where I lived renting when I was working there. And my favorite restaurant there's a salad that Jay Alexander's has that I absolutely love. Absolutely. I can't remember the name of it, but I know it when I see it on the menu.
I eat there all the time with my brother. He lives about 8 minutes from Jay Alexander's, and another really good restaurant we like, Amerigo's.
Oh yeah.
It's right around the corner from Jay Alexander's. The salad I like at J. Alexander's is I think they call it some kind of an Asian salad. It's
Yeah.
got it's got an Asian kind of dressing to it. It is so good. But I've
I
had
think
their
we're talking the same thing. It's
oh
like you
man,
can tell it's been chopped up in a food processor or something.
that's it. That's it.
That's it.
Very
Yeah.
heavy chop job, but it
Yeah.
is great. Oh man, what a good
I
salad.
know. I'm getting hungry, man.
Well, yeah, yeah. It's hard for me to last till 12 o'clock some days. So I'm really busy. I don't think about it. But
Yeah.
we're talking about food. Now I'm looking at the time going, oh boy, won't be long. I
Well,
just
I
do
try
these
not.
protein shakes for lunch. So
Ah,
I don't
okay.
I don't really eat a lunch, but they work.
Yeah. Well, man, it's great to talk to you. It's been about 4 years since you and I last spoke, and how you been?
I've been good. I've been really good. It's been a lot of touring. Alcatrazz has been out on the road a lot, off and on, and doing the Warlord thing. That's been a lot of touring.
Mm-hmm.
So been very fortunate like that. I did the A to Z record. Um, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
That took about a year. That was a tough one. Great record. I did that
Mm-hmm.
with Mark Sonder. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and Warlord is Mark Sonder, so he and I have worked together a lot. He's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Giles Lavery's been the singer in Warlord for a long time and been singing with Alcatrazz. I've been working with Giles for years now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been great. The Alcatrazz thing has really stepped up. I mean, it's a way better band,
Mm-hmm.
way better.
Well, it
Really,
sounds like you guys, just from what I can observe and hear, you guys are gelling really. I mean, it's become you can not that you weren't cohesive before, but it's a different kind of cohesiveness. I think I would be another way of putting it, where the
yes,
chemistry seems to be a little bit different, but good. I
yeah.
wouldn't say better or worse. I'd say it's just right on. It's a nice progression for the band.
It's a great progression. It's the core of the band is Joe Stump and myself and Giles and Gary Shea. Gary plays on
Hmm.
our records and is involved. But live, um, we got a new bass player and a new drummer, and these tours coming up, and it's going to be better. The last guys were not happy,
Hmm.
and I think disillusioned with the business the way it is and the way the band works, the kind of band we are. So Joe and I and Gary and Giles are all in sync and really get along great. And live, for me, it's way easier live. Giles is, I mean, he gets on with it. There's no talking, there's very little talking. And he just cuts right to the chase. It's all rock, no talk, as I call it. It's great. I love it. And that's the way I've always liked. I don't like a lot of talking and stuff on stage. I think generally, I mean, unless you're Bruce Springsteen or somebody that people really want to hear, like
Hmm.
from you personally. And Alcatrazz is not that kind of band. They want to hear music.
Yeah.
So, and Giles has been singing these songs. Giles used to manage the Graham Bonnet band.
Hmm.
So Graham didn't come to sound checks, so we would do sound checks and Giles would sing the songs.
Ah,
So
okay.
Giles has been singing the crap out of this stuff for a long time. And
Hmm.
then then when Doogie left, it was the obvious choice. Giles was perfect for it and probably should have done it sooner. But so we've done over 100 shows with Giles at this point,
Hmm.
and it's just going real smooth. It's great.
Well, I want to get to this album, but you said something that I didn't even ever think about asking people. I kind of allude to it in some questions, but you mentioned about disillusionment in the business. Do you see that a lot amongst your peers? Because I know this business is crazy. I
Yes.
see very little of it from my level as an interviewer, but and as a fan. But I don't see how musicians do it, honestly, because the labels extract so much from you guys and demand 360 deals and all that, and always in your pockets and then kicking you to the curb. And so I get it as a fan. I can only imagine. I was in the high tech industry for 20 years, been kicked to the curb a few times, so I get it.
Oh,
What
wow.
is what is what are you seeing amongst your peers similar to the example you gave a moment ago?
And I would expect that they would not talk to you about this,
Hmm.
doing an interview. I mean, I wouldn't, honestly. But I'm telling you now, and I'm being honest. It's just, I think a lot of people thought Alcatraz was worth a certain amount of money, and they thought, oh boy, I'm going to make a lot of money with these guys. We're going to be playing in big places. Well, Alcatraz makes the same money and plays the same places that hundreds of other really well-known bands play. That's just
Hmm.
the business now. You don't you don't play 2,000 seaters. Occasionally, maybe if there's two or three acts on the bill that are all got names, we do that, and we have done that. But generally speaking, you're playing 500 seat clubs,
Hmm.
and that's just the nature of the beast. And there's a lot of guys in the business that I have friends that will not they they can't wrap their head around it. They
Hmm.
just keep thinking, well, this is wrong. Everything's wrong. The glass is half empty to them. Well, oh, this is terrible. The business is terrible. I can't believe we're playing these little 500 seat clubs and stuff. And I've told them as a friend, not even bandmates, just guys. You can't cry about it. It is what it is. And it's sort of like the heat in the kitchen thing. If you don't like the heat, then get out of the kitchen. And that's kind of what it is because you can't change what's going on out there.
Yeah.
This is what people pay for, and this is what promoters do, and nothing to do with the record companies. And a lot of these guys, I know some people that think, well, the record company should pay a lot more money, and the record company, should give a bigger advance, and a record company should give us tour support. And those days are gone. So it's not any one record company. That's just the business. The
Yeah.
business doesn't generate our business anyway, doesn't generate the kind of numbers. If a
Yeah.
record company like with Capitol Records, Alcatraz, our last record deal on Capitol Records was $250,000
Wow.
um, to do the record, and we carved out enough. I think we were making about 150 bucks a week out of that. We broke that all
Golly.
down. So, but we had $250,000 to make a record and do what we needed to do as a band, pay for rehearsals, pre-production, and then rehearsals to go on the road, et cetera, et cetera. But that's long gone. But I know guys who still think that they're worth the band. Oh, this is worth 200. We should have $200,000 and do a real record and be able to go to Peter Gabriel's studio, in Bath, England, and record. And well, I don't
Private
understand.
jets. Yeah.
Well, right up to that, yeah, right up to
Yeah.
like, and fly their gear. And I go, you know what it costs to fly equipment nowadays? These are people that haven't toured in a while, good
Yeah.
musicians, and they're just totally out of touch with the business. And those are the people, disgruntled employees,
Yeah.
Um, and we had a couple of them, and they were both that way. The drummer and the bass player were both unrealistic about what we could do, and so they always thought that the grass is always greener.
Hmm.
Well, it'd be better if we did this, if we did that, and we'd say, well, then go make that happen. You said people, then make that happen. and they never could because it didn't exist. Those
Right.
days didn't exist anymore. So yeah, businesses, that to me is the reality of it. But I look at it just like, okay, I'm still touring and I don't make as much money as I'd like to make, but I'm still touring and I still make money and I can make a living.
Hmm.
And it, it's okay. I love playing. When you're on stage playing, it's the same as it was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Those people are there to see you. And to be truthfully, we toured America a year ago or so, and we've toured in Europe a lot, all over the place. And the crowds are all still with you.
Hmm.
And it used to be Alcatrazz played places in America in the day when it was Graham and Ingve and myself and Gary and Jan, and we were a bigger deal. You know, back then it was a big deal, and the record company did spend money on promotion, and the record company we got tour support and all that good stuff. But we played for some really flat audiences, people that
Hmm.
just weren't that into it. And the tours were in smaller clubs. You know, we'd always play, like in LA, we'd play the Country Club or the Palace Theater, you know,
Hmm.
1,000, 1,500 people, and we do okay there, and the
Yeah.
crowd was into it. But then we get out and we get, we get out on the road, you're playing 500 seat clubs.
Yeah.
And if you just say, compare a 500 seat club then to a 500 seat club now in America or anywhere, the crowds are way better now. The crowds back then, there was a lot of off nights, bad
Yeah.
crowds. And we were a pretty consistent band. I mean, you know, we played our ass off no matter where we were. It didn't matter.
Hmm.
But
Well,
there's both sides.
yeah. Well, and I think too, for people that don't know, I know from a fan perspective, they think once somebody signs a record deal, it's limos, jets, and mansions, and they
You're
they,
right. You're
they don't
right.
get it, and
No.
but something you said that was pretty interesting. There's this kid from Australia, phenomenal guitar player. I think he's like 18 years old. I saw him last year. He opened for, is it like Taj something or other? I forget his name. Great, phenomenal guitar player. And he opened for Buddy Guy.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, blew me away. He come out and played with Buddy some. And that was at a casino, 300, or I'm sorry, 3,000 seats.
Right.
But Buddy was the
Oh,
draw.
buddy, that's Buddy Guy, though. I mean, he's a
Yeah,
legend, you know.
yeah. And
So,
then now this kid is back in the States. I've tried to get through to interview him. I just can't even get a response because, I want to help plug his career and such. But
right.
he's playing a place in Knoxville that used to be a Bonanza Steakhouse or something. It holds maybe 100 people. But he's asking $60 a head to come see him. So,
Yeah.
if, I'm sure it's covering expenses on the road, maybe, but it's not Harrah's again in Cherokee, North Carolina. It's,
Nope.
a club, if you want to call it a club in Knoxville, Tennessee. So, but he's paying his dues. He needs to get some more original music going instead of covering stuff. But,
He's
but
primarily a
that's the business.
blues guy.
Blues and rock. I mean, he would be kind of a Stevie Ray Vaughan type, probably
Okay.
Bonamassa, maybe, somewhere around in
Right.
there.
Right. But even Bonamassa, when you look at what he does live, he's always changing up. He's got more of a production. He's got female singers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Musically, he plays with a lot of different styles of musicians, and his records reflect that. And
Mm-hmm.
so he's not just a blues guy, that
No.
plays just blues places. He can play anywhere,
Yeah.
and people respond to that. So that
Yep.
it's tough, man. The guy you're talking about, the Australian kid, that's tough
Yeah.
because I don't think, I think you have to be pretty amazing as a guitar player but you got to have songs and a personality. And
Hmm.
like Yngwie is a good example. Yngwie, you know, he does well. He goes out and sells 1,000 seats, 1,500
Hmm.
seats. But 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 Yngwie's got songs, and we're not talking about, the perfect hits singles, but he's got the songs that his people, his crowd wants to hear. And
Hmm.
they might as well be hits because people that are into Yngwie follow that. But he's built that. That's taken him years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That started after Alcatrazz. I mean, he didn't just walk out after Alcatrazz and start playing 1,000 seaters.
Yep.
That didn't happen that way. It took him a long time.
Yep.
So
Yep. Uh,
even Ingve and Steve Vai, I'm sure if you talk to Steve, I saw him here in Chicago a year or so ago, and he and I kind of talked about that a little bit. And he's been touring, counting Frank Zappa, he's been touring for over 40 years. So you figure 35 years of that has been kind of on his own. So he got out
Yeah.
of Zappa, then he was in Alcatrazz. So yeah, David Lee Roth was fine, but that's David
Yeah.
Lee Roth.
Yeah.
That wasn't
For as
Steve.
long as it lasted. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So after David Lee Roth, I skip over the White Snake thing because that kind of doesn't count, but it's still not Steve Vai. But when Steve Vai was on his own, I know he'll tell you he was not playing 10,000 seaters or 5,000 seaters right out of the box.
Right.
It's taken him years to build it
Yep.
up to where he sold out a 2,000 seater here in Chicago, and his whole tour was like that,
Yeah.
selling out nice sized places.
Yeah.
But Steve, what I call, he beats the bushes. This guy
Yeah.
plays all the time. He's
Yep.
always touring Europe, the United States. He's just always on the road, and he's putting himself out there. I mean, working
And a
with Jay.
sharp businessman too, it seems like.
Oh, very incredibly sharp guy. And I
Yeah.
think there's somebody that knows where they're at, got their shit together, that
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
understands what the business is, understands what the whole guitar hero thing is. And Steve doesn't position himself as a guitar hero. I mean, he is that to, a lot of people, but that when you see a show, that's not the way he comes off.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yep.
people are there just glued to the guitar, but Steve talks and tells stories, and it's just he's more of a personality, and he's got a really talented band, and
Hmm.
so yeah, it's tough. It's
Boy, and he
hard.
still branches out. He did that whole beat tour and
Yeah,
and
yeah, which was
he
amazing.
worked with others. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And that's a testament to his ability too. So
oh yes.
well, tell me about prior convictions, man. This is fun stuff. Tell me the story behind it and how it came together.
Well, as I was saying before, we'd been touring with the Grand Bonnet Band, and Giles was singing our sound checks by default. So we needed somebody to sing at a sound check. So Giles was singing all these songs that are on that record. There's only a couple of
Hmm.
songs on there that he wasn't singing live. So I heard him sing all these songs numerous times on the road, under the worst conditions, best conditions. And he would just, we'd get to the gig, set up, get ready to do a sound check. We had no time. Got to do it now. And Giles just walk on stage and go, "Let's do it," and just call out a song. So we said, "Play anything you want." It'd be one of those songs off No Parole.
Hmm.
And so we did that for a long time with him. And I just thought, man, this guy kills this stuff. He could be the singer. But that's back when Graham was in the band. And when Graham left the
Hmm.
band, we got Doogie, which seemed like a logical move. And but Doogie went off and did his own thing. So I kind of stepped back and looked at it like, well, in hindsight, we should have just gotten Giles to begin with
Hmm.
and skipped Doogie. I mean, Doogie was great, and I love the guy, but but that didn't take us to a different level, because when you make a change like a singer, you always hope for that big jump in ticket sales or something, even at our level, say 300 to 500, whatever. But that didn't happen. Um, and Graham, great singer, we didn't draw with him either. So I just thought, well, we've got nothing to lose now. We should be happy and have guys in the band that we like to work with. And I loved working with Giles because I'd worked with him already for 2 or 3 years
Hmm.
and been on stage with him singing. I knew what he could do. And so when he got in the band, we immediately went on tour. We had about 60 dates in the United States. So we had no time to record, but we kept talking about this album. We kept saying, we should do an album. We should do some re-records and write a bunch of material. Well, then a record company got involved and they said, let's do a new record, but make that after the first of the year. Let's do this record and make this now as re-records of stuff off No Parole and things like that to introduce Giles because we needed to show people what we're doing,
Hmm.
not just like springing on them. Here's a new record. Oh, who's that? Kind of thing. So
Right.
this was a great introduction because it takes if people can now they hear these songs, they know what the songs are supposed to sound like, and if they like the songs, then Giles represents these songs great. It's not a question of does he sing them better than Graham or anything. That's kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
It's more about is it good or isn't it good?
Right.
Whoever singing it's me, you, whoever. Um, and it's good. Good is good. So uh, that was our thinking was to pick our favorite songs off No Parole, and then we got one new one, and and then a couple of songs off our recent newer Alcatrazz album with Doogie. We just
Hmm.
replaced his voice with Giles. Um, but it was to introduce him and kind of give the people a look at, well, this is the sound of the band now.
Hmm.
And so far it's worked well. People responded to that and took it
Hmm.
that way. So that's mainly why we did it.
Do you guys run into this with fans? I mean, I hear it all the time. I interview all sorts of people, and I won't name names, but let's say I'm talking to somebody who is still the original member of a band,
Yeah,
and yet he might be the only original member of the band.
right.
And I'll interview. Yeah, there you go. And
Yeah.
and and then I've interviewed him, and then I get the feedback of, well, that band's not that band without. And then they'll name their favorite person that they miss. And sometimes I think they just want to complain. But you look at the Rolling Stones. I mean, dear God, they've been around for 60 years. And it's just Mick and Keith now. The rest of the band are not original. I mean,
No.
Woody is almost that way, but but still,
Yeah.
I mean, years before he joined the band. So, do you
Yeah.
guys run into that at all?
Uh, we haven't run into any problems. I'll put it that way. I've had everywhere we played, we've had no complaints. We had no fans have said, "Oh, well, I thought it was going to be Graham, or I thought, this or whatever." No, it's not the original band. We haven't had any of that.
Right.
Um, I have talked to a few fans just off stage, backstage, whatever, and we're signing autographs. And I've had a few questions. People say, well, how did you do this? How did this come about? Uh, and I told them, I explained very quickly what we did. And I don't think I've had any negative questions like, oh, boy, it's not the same band. Well, I've had none of that. And which I thought it was going to be way different. I thought we'd hit the stage with Doogie and it would be, uh-oh. But I miscalculated in a good way. that,
Hmm.
and it's no offense against Graham, but like I said, we weren't selling thousands of tickets with Graham, and he's got fans, a lot of fans, but they weren't showing up at the shows.
Yeah.
And so I won't say the band wasn't as big as he thought it was, or some people thought it should be, because there was an illusion about, Graham and Doogie. Oh, well, now you guys are gonna with Graham Bonnet, you must sell. People thought we were playing thousand seaters and big places, you know,
Hmm.
and because Graham came out of Rainbow, and of course that's Rainbow. That's not Graham
Right.
Bonnet. He's a singer in Rainbow. How many have there been? And
Right.
they had some pretty good success with a few songs, but
Yeah.
those weren't their biggest hits. But Rainbow was always uh, Rainbow, a big band. They
Yeah.
could do Donington, they could do those kind of venues. It almost, no offense to any of the singers, but it didn't matter who was singing. It was their songs and however it worked. Richie
Yeah.
Blackmore. So I look at it like, I would argue with people. Anybody would come to me and say things about how negative stuff about, oh, it's only one original member. Well, it's two. It's Gary Shea and myself. That was always the heart of the band. And
Hmm.
again, that's not an offense to Graham necessarily. He wasn't a participant. Graham, you just gave him a piece of music and he would write lyrics and a melody.
Hmm.
And released on the first record. And he wasn't driving the band. He had no ideas about we should do this, we should do that. Yngwie was the driving force as a guitar player. When he and I put the material together, Yngwie would come in with a song, Yngwie's song, and I'd make a few suggestions maybe. And some of the stuff that I wrote was with Yngwie, but
Hmm.
but we had a direction. And I don't know how that got in my head or where that came from, but I was just doing what was natural to me. I wasn't
Hmm.
thinking about Rainbow or Deep Purple or whoever. And Yngwie was influenced by all those people. But when Yngwie and I would write, or he and I are working just two guys, no amp, and I'm just a Casio keyboard writing songs, in an apartment.
Hmm.
Um, that's where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. It's like either you got it or you don't.
Hmm.
And we weren't talking about Rainbow or Deep Purple or any of those bands. Or Ingve was a big Uli Roth fan. Uh, we didn't talk about. We wrote music, and Ingve would say, "I got this song, man," and he would play me this song, and I wasn't hearing it being like somebody else. To me, that was Ingve. And I knew
Yeah.
when we got done with it, it would be Alcatrazz,
Hmm.
when Graham sang it and I played on it, and maybe I'd jump in on a part here and there. Krina Kuri, probably a good example where Ingve had the basic chords of the song, and I started playing that intro, and Ingve loved it. He goes, "Yeah, man, that's great. That's great. Let's play that." And I said, "Yeah, let's." It's a key change thing, and I just talked about the two chords in the beginning. Ingve goes, "Perfect." And then he took it from there. So then we built breaks where the keyboards came in. But, there was that was the two of us worked well together. And Graham wasn't a participant in that stuff. We just sent him the music and he would
Hmm.
go home and write, lyrics and a melody.
Right.
So he wasn't, he had nothing to do with the direction of the band or the music in the band or what we're going to do. It was myself and Gary and the manager
Yeah.
running the band, making the
Wow.
decisions about, okay, we're going to tour. Well, what are we going to do? Well, no, let's not do that. Well, do you think if we tour with Night Ranger, can we get good sound checks or, logistical stuff? It was Gary and
Hmm.
I and Andy Truman. Andy
Well,
was
that
a
might have been a
really,
bland, that might have been a blessing in disguise and not have too many cooks in the kitchen, don't you think?
absolutely, because knowing Graham, he would have had nothing to offer. He didn't know anything about touring or anything. So, um, excellent musician and a great writer, but he just wasn't a band driven guy. He was the guy that you just tell him what you want or what to do, and he would do that. He was
Hmm.
more money driven than music driven, so to speak.
Yeah.
So um, Gary Shea and I had a lot to do with that. So if anybody came to me and started bitching about, oh, there's not many original members, I'd say, well, first of all, I would say well, we put the band together. We made it happen. We made the car go. You know, Graham got in the back seat and rode along for the ride and did his
Hmm.
job, but he
Hmm.
wasn't a driving force. And second, I would say look through history at all the bands that have changed members for hundreds of reasons. You know, guys died or hated each other and had to leave or whatever. So bands continue on. So
Yep.
I'm not gonna, some members leave in a band or get fired or whatever happens. Oh, that's the end of my career. I'm going to stop all the work I put into Alcatraz and the years I put into that. Oh, well, it's not original anymore, so I can't do this. Well, obviously I can because it's working.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Well,
no
you're
worse.
kind of you're kind of a John Mayall of your genre there, because I mean, let's look at it. You got Ingve.
Yeah,
I mean, I've interviewed three of these people that I'm about to mention to you
right.
that played for you, at least on one song or more, and that's Ingve, Steve Vai, and Kristen Pelletieri. I mean, he
Yeah,
worked on what, one song or something with you, or a couple songs.
we did on a record. Chris wrote a
Yeah,
song. Chris is a dear friend, and I love
yeah,
him.
great
But he did.
guitarist.
Yeah, oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
and
He's a
and now
he's a deadly guitarist. He's scary guitar player. Yes.
yeah, but unappreciated really here in the States compared to
Yes.
like Japan and
Yeah.
the Far East and such. But and now you've got Joe. So what? How do you? I mean, I'm pretty much serious when I call you the John Mayall of the genre.
Oh,
What?
and I
How do you?
love John Mayall, so I know exactly what you're talking about. That's how I discovered Eric Clapton.
Yeah,
I
yep.
didn't know who Clapton was, and it's John Mayall. And I was listening to Mayall one night, and I was like, man, I love that guitar player. And our guitar player came and listened. He goes, wow, we got to find out who that is. So in those days, there was no internet. So you got on Melody Maker magazine in England, and you
Hmm.
start looking through we had to order Melody Maker as an import magazine.
Oh
And
gosh,
yeah,
expensive.
yeah, we were in North Carolina. And so we get Melody Maker and find out who's doing what. That's how you found out. And Melody Maker was really up to date. So
Yeah,
if they said so and so's in a band, that person had just joined that band. It was within weeks.
yep.
And we found out about Eric Clapton.
Yep. Well, and then Walter Trout after him. I mean, just great
Oh,
stuff, And so
great.
you're kind of processing them through there now. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, you got to look at their solo careers after they've come through Alcatraz and go, hey, I feel like I might have contributed to their success on that.
Well, I think the band Alcatrazz contributed to that because people had a lot of respect for Alcatrazz, and they respected us because we had these great guitar players. So when Ingve left, we discussed him. I said, I knew you were going. We were in the middle of a tour, and I said we had an argument or something, and he was arguing with Graham about some stuff, and in the dressing room, and I took him aside. I just physically, put my arm around him and said, "Hey, I know that you're not happy. I know that you're going to do your own thing. It's okay. I didn't expect you to be around forever. You're not that. I know what you're going to do." And he goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I just got to have my own band." And he goes, "I love you guys, and I would never leave this tour. I'm a professional and blah, blah, blah." And I said, "That's great. No problem at all." And we shook hands and hugged, and that was that. And Steve Vai was the same thing. Steve Vai, we started, we were going to do a tour, and our first date was in LA at the, or Huntington Beach. And, and, and Steve came to me after the show. The Winnebago was in the parking lot running, getting ready
Hmm.
to go. And we were getting ready to get on it. And Steve took me aside and he goes, if you come here, I need to talk for a minute. He goes, I'm going to be joining David Lee Roth, leaving the band after this tour. And I said, I wasn't surprised at all. And I said, man, that's great. Congratulations. That's a really good gig for you. And I'm sure you'll kill it. So no hard feelings. And Steve says, well, great. I'm glad you feel that way. And that was all. We were done.
Hmm.
So those guys, I didn't expect them to stay around. And I don't know what John Mayall was thinking when Eric Clapton was playing with him, but I'm sure if you'd ask him 20 years later, he'd say, well, I'm not surprised. That guy was great. He had a lot to say. And
Hmm.
Steve and Yngwie both had a lot to say as guitar players and musicians, writers. So I wasn't surprised at all when they left. And Joe is a different animal. Joe is every bit as talented as they are, and great songwriter and a fun band member. Uh, Joe's a Joe's more of a band guy. He likes being in a band. Joe doesn't. He makes solo records at his house himself. He makes great records. Um, but he's not doing that thinking, oh boy, I make this solo record, it's going to sell, X records. This is what he loves doing,
Hmm.
is playing in front of as many people as possible. He has Joe Stump's Tower of Babel, and that is a band, but getting that off the ground is tough because Alcatrazz has more of a name and it's easier to plug into tours. And
Yeah.
if you go to a promoter and say you can have Joe Stump's Tower of Babel or Alcatrazz, most of the time, and no offense to Joe, because they're a great band, great players in his band, and great songs that he wrote, great singer. But unfortunately, the name thing, they're going to pick us.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough out there. In the old days, a band could be that group of people. There's people that would take a chance. Promoters and club owners would go, "Yeah, wow, that guy's a hot guitar player, and those are great players. Yeah, we can get them in on Friday night and blah blah blah." But it's just changed. People are, uh, well, it's comes down to the dollar, in a
Yeah.
lot of these clubs, and they'll tell you right to your face. They're nice people, but they'll tell you right to your face that you know you guys, next time we have you guys, we're going to put this band on with you to draw more people, or, we'll have to put a better package together to draw more people.
Hmm.
They're not saying we were bad or anything. They're just saying we're not drawing enough to. So in the old days, it wasn't like that. It
Right.
was a little looser. People
Well,
would spend.
yeah, and one of my first interviews I did was with Sam Andrew of Big Brother and the Holding Company, and he told me
Oh,
then, he said, Randy, when we were starting out, we were inventing or creating this stuff. Nobody had heard sounds like we did. And he was talking about not just Big Brother, but all the peers, Credence
yeah,
or Santana or whoever. And he said, now you've got schools that crank out 500 grads a year that could play Hendrix as well, if not better than Hendrix. And so his point was is how commoditized things have gotten, how overly available we have as far as choices are concerned. And I think people get, for better or for worse, they get a lot more discriminating, or they take things for granted as far as being able to catch a good show.
yeah, yeah,
And, all that to say, it's hard for a brand new band like Joe's or whoever's to get out. And then, even then, if you're good, a label's going to want you to bring all the fans, turn over all the rights, give them all the image, and chunk of the merch and touring pro. I mean, it's like the dreaded 360 deals. And so, going back to what we were talking about in the beginning, people, I mean, I'm sure Joe knew, but a lot of people just don't get how brutal this business is and how hard it is to make a living. That's the reason why when I post stuff and when I do my intro to this interview, I tell people, please buy the album. Don't just stream it, buy it. You know, pay to download it, buy the CD, get the vinyl if that's your thing, but
That
buy.
really
This is how
helps.
these guys make this how is how you guys make a living. And it's
That
tough
that
making a
really
living in this
helps.
business. I hope
Because
so.
we were just Giles and I were just talking the other day that it used to be you would make a record, and then you would tour to support the record and sell the record. It's
Mm-hmm.
completely the opposite now. You make a record to let people know you're alive and you're making good music, and then you go on the road. That's where you make the money. Because records, you just don't make any money off of records.
Yeah.
And there was like Aerosmith, I don't know how long ago it was, they said we're not going to make any more records because it's not worth it. It's too stressful. And even those guys, and they would make more money obviously than we would, but they weren't making enough money on a record to make it worth the stress and what it's going to help their career at their age, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But they toured after that because that's what they make much more money touring.
Well, and
Everybody.
the fans want to hear the catalog anyway, the
Yes,
existing catalog.
yes,
You know.
yeah.
So,
So yeah, it's a flipped business where you
yeah.
you make the record to say, hey, we're here. This check this out. It's almost like I'm if they're streaming it a lot, then that's cool. And yet we don't make any money on streaming. The numbers for streaming, the financial end of it, it's like 0.00.6. So I don't even know what that is. If you put a gun to my head and said, okay, tell me how much money that is. I couldn't tell you. You look at a penny, it's some little sliver of that penny is what that
Yeah.
is.
Well, and to add the insult to injury, the government's doing away with pennies. So there,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I mean, ASCAP has been supposedly fighting this for years, this whole thing. But I step back and look at it, and we make less money now than we ever did. And I won't say I'm not complaining, but that doesn't make me stop doing it. It's like I know what it is. And I'd rather be informed and know you're going to poke me in the eye.
yeah,
If
yeah,
I know it's coming, there's nothing I can do about it, then I've got a choice. I can either get out of the business or I'll get poked in the eye and then move on,
yeah.
So, um,
Well, in this side of the microphone, it's no different. I mean, you get paid, you know, a fraction of a cent or a cent for so many thousands
right.
of listeners or
Yeah,
viewers,
yeah,
and it took me years before I even saw the first check on here, and it was okay. I mean, if the music stopped right now and I took everything I've earned in the going on 17 years I've been doing this and all the hours I put into it
oh my
and
God.
then use, divide, do the division on that. It's not even slave wages. It's
Right.
just you do it for the love of it, but and eventually volume will dictate certain amount of revenue and that kind of thing. And so, it is what, and people's attention spans are so, you know, the head of the CEO of YouTube said that long form is the future for YouTube. Well, you wouldn't know it by my numbers. People watch all the shorts I put out, but that how far deep they go into a long view varies. So
Yeah.
I just hope that people catch what they want. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of skipping through, catching what they want to hear, and that makes up the traffic, But for you guys, I hope what it really boils down to is like, oh, Randy's talking to Jimmy again. All right, that must mean Alcatrazz has a new album. They're talking about it. I'm going to go buy it. That's what I hope. That's what it's all about.
Well, you're a known guy and respected guy in your business. So this is great because I know people will do that. They'll listen to
Mhm.
this, and because it's you, they'll go, "Well, he's legit." and ask cool questions. So yeah, if he thinks that's a good record, then I'm going to go check it out. So it really helps. I mean, it does
Well, I
help a
hope so.
lot. And I know other bands that guys go, interviews don't help. Don't do any of that. And it's like, you crazy? Because
But then
all
they
the
did it.
interviews,
But then they did it during the pandemic when there was nothing else to
oh
do.
yeah. Well, then it's like, oh, help me, help me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
But
doesn't work that way. It's a two-way street. And I understand it. I've got friends that do it, and not to the level that you're doing it, but
mhm.
um, and they know how hard it is just trying to get anybody, trying to interview somebody, and you call them up, and the artists are hard. Some artists are hard to get,
Mhm.
so they'll come to you. They'll you hear from you, and they go, "Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do it." So
Well,
it's tough.
there's still those that don't give you the time of day, but it improves every year, and I'm grateful for what I've got to do. And I've really not had a bad experience with anybody. So and I've had, I thought my bad experience was bad, and then they told me it was actually pretty good. That was my interview with Brian Wilson. It lasted 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And he wasn't mad or anything. He didn't storm off. He just answered my questions very quickly and succinctly. And then all of a sudden he goes, "Thank you for having me on, man. Goodbye." It's like, okay.
Wow.
It's on my website. You can go hear it. But hey, I got to talk to Brian Wilson, right?
To Brian,
So,
exactly. I was going to say the same thing. It's amazing. Like if I'd love to meet Paul McCartney and speak with him.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it wouldn't be about the Beatles. It'd just be about meeting him and asking him some musical questions.
yeah,
And I'm sure he would give me the time of day, but it wouldn't be a half an hour conversation. It'd
correct.
be 10 or
I'd
15
love to talk
minutes.
to him. Yeah, and then be gone. I'd love to talk to him just about the business aspect of it. But man, I
Yeah.
know you got to run here to eat, but I want to ask you a couple more questions. That's
No,
it.
as long as you want. I'm
Oh,
no
okay. Um, Looking at this album, I used to say, what song would you point to as a calling card? But I interviewed one guy, Chris Stamey of I think it was the DBs, or forget who he's with now. My mind's gone blank. But he said, "Oh, you mean the gateway drug to the album?" I was like, "Yeah, the gateway drug to the album. Which song would you point to on here to tell fans, to tell new listeners, to tell friends, hey, if you like this song, you're really going to love the rest of the record?"
Well, Island in the Sun was our most popular song as far as in the day. It
Mm-hmm.
was our first video and all that stuff and got a lot of plays, as did God Bless Video off the next album.
Mm-hmm.
Off this record, I'd have to say Island in the Sun or Jet the Jet. Because Jet the Jet, it worked really well. Giles sings the crap out of it. Um, so if you listen to one or both of those, you'll get it. You know
Mm-hmm.
exactly where we're at and what kind of band it still is. So I'd have to use those both because they're very different, but it's the
What?
same guys.
Right, right. What do you think? Well, looking at this, and I know, this is kind of a reviewing of the music, but you look at this body of music, the band, all the experience, and looking over your long career, what do you still enjoy most about making music? I mean, I know you enjoy touring. You said that earlier. But what is it about making music that you enjoy the most?
Um, when I'm trying to write something and I get frustrated, I'll be like, oh man, I've been on this for off and on for 2 hours today, and it's just not. This idea is not happening. And then all of a sudden, you're doing something and the magic starts to happen. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, that's really cool. And then you work off of that and it just explodes. It's just like, wow, this is really coming together. That to me is huge. I've never had a drug problem, but to hear people talk about their first time they did cocaine or something or whatever, well, like, whoa, man, that really blew me away. Well, that's the way writing is for me in creating, when we
Hmm.
make a record. So I love that. But I do love playing in front of people. I just love playing live. But the writing and getting that song to come to life, that's really gratifying. That's a good feeling.
It's got to be. I mean, I don't write music. I don't play. I'm not a musician. I suck at air guitar. So, but I can only imagine what it must be like to have something, not only to write it and you feel personally good about it, but to have it validated by applause, by repeat attendees, by record
Yes,
sales, all of
yes,
that. This has got to be probably
absolutely.
one of the coolest feelings in the world.
Absolutely. And when you're touring and you've just done a record and you can never play that record. You make a record on Monday and you go out and hit the road, right after it comes out. Uh, you can't play that whole record because people haven't heard it.
Right.
Even if it's come out, they haven't, it takes time for a record to get in their head, if they're into it. So when we play Island in the Sun or Jet the Jet or Queen of Curry, yeah, I can see the look on people's faces and feel they love those songs. And then the applause afterwards. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's super gratifying. I love that. And we play a lot of songs. We really cleaned the set out, I call it. When Doogie first got in the band, Doogie didn't like playing a lot of that early Alcatraz stuff because he had done it when he played with Yngwie. Yngwie had
Uh,
played Jet to Jet and some of those songs. So Doogie was like, "Oh man, I don't want to do that again. I've done that a million." So we didn't do a lot of those songs. So we filled them in with maybe a Rainbow song, or a Michael Schenker song to make
hmm.
Doogie feel comfortable. And the reaction was just not good.
Mm.
The people were like, because we're up there and we're rocking out and it sounds good, you get that. That's a reaction.
Right.
But you can always tell when it's this, just because it's a live band and playing and it's good, okay. But then when it's this, that's, from when they really like the song,
Yeah.
that's when
Yeah.
you can tell.
Well,
Absolutely.
I think as a fan, I'll give you an example. The one time I saw Ringo Starr in concert, he had Steve Lukather on guitar. Uh, I think Greg. No, yeah, I think Greg was still with him on keys. Todd Rundgren. I mean,
Yeah.
big name.
Yeah.
And saw him in Asheville, North Carolina, and all these guys have stellar careers, right? And, I was a guest of Luke to that show, so I got to go backstage and kind of watch some of the dynamic and such. But, once the show starts, yeah, people are appreciative of, Steve and Greg, playing Black Magic Woman or something. They
Yeah.
love the song. They love the history behind it all. But they were there to see Ringo, and
Yeah.
Ringo makes it clear. I mean, it's an all-star band. What does that mean? Each one of these guys are going to have their moment in the sun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but there were Beatles fans there that were there to only see Ringo, and they wanted to hear Beatles music, or
Yeah.
and probably even more so than Ringo's own solo stuff. But
Yeah. Yeah.
they wanted the next best thing to a Beatles thing. So if somebody's stepping in, to your point, when you're talking about Doogie and all that, you got to understand. I mean, it's business.
It's yeah, it's really different. And honestly, and it took me a while to understand that. People telling me, managers would say, "You guys got to play that stuff that was successful on this record. You don't understand. The people aren't coming there to hear this and that and the other." And
Mm-hmm.
we'd go, "Yeah, but those are great songs and we worked hard on that record." And they go, "But they didn't respond to that record. They haven't even heard the record by the time you play the shows or whatever."
Yeah.
So I get it. I totally
Yeah.
get it. We played a show with Uli Roth, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew Uli for a long time. And Uli and I were just talking, and Uli said, out of nowhere, he goes, "Yeah, I'm playing some Scorpion songs in my set that I wouldn't play for years." He said, "People kept asking us, asking me to play these songs because he wrote some of that early Scorpion stuff and blah, blah, blah. And Uli said he fought it. He fought. He didn't want to play it. He wanted to do his newest, latest, greatest. He said, then it just dawned on him. Those people are paying money to see me. That's me. He goes, I gotta meet them halfway at least. So he said, I've been
Yep.
doing it now for a few years. And he goes, it's fine. I'm totally happy with it because I like seeing the reaction from the crowd. And so it's just that's reality.
Yep.
Yeah, people go see Ringo. Well, you don't go see Ringo play Led Zeppelin songs, so
No,
and
no.
nobody's a bigger
People,
fan than of Todd Rundgren. I worked with Rundgren, and I'm a ridiculously huge fan of his as a songwriter and everything. But it's Ringo Starr.
that's right.
That's who they want to
Well,
see.
same way with Luke, and I mean, they don't want to hear, you know, Africa or
No,
99 from Toto. You go
nope.
to a Toto concert for that. But,
Yep.
Ringo, to
Yep.
his credit, is
Yep.
giving these guys the spotlight. And, I think that's cool of him. I go there with the right expectation, I think, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They just need to get over it. But,
Yeah. Exactly.
so, how would you personally define success, and what does that word mean to you now? I mean, 40 years ago it might have meant one thing to you in this business. Has it changed?
Yeah.
How do you define it, and where do you feel like that means to you now?
Right today, success means am I'm happy doing this and I'm happy working with the people. It's got to be the people. The people I work with mean a lot. And so I'm successful because I'm working with great people doing great music
Hmm.
and playing live and making good records, good quality music. So that's success to me. And
Hmm.
you can't, there's no dollar sign on that, you know. And in the old days, yeah, 40 years ago, well, I wasn't successful unless we could be on, well, there was no MTV then, but uh,
It was about to start. It's getting ready to.
yeah, yeah. And well, let's take it for like when MTV was in business, then success meant that you were on MTV.
Hmm.
And then you felt like I used to think, oh man, if we were on MTV, we're done. We made it. We're number 10 in Billboard. Then
Yeah.
we're look at that, we're right next to the new so and so record.
Hmm.
And we ended up being on it. Island in the Sun was got played a lot on MTV. And Hiroshima Mon Amour got airplay on MTV. And then later, God Bless Video on the second album got a lot of play. But after Island in the Sun, I realized that MTV was going to help you and could get you to a certain level, but that was not going to be, that's not success.
Right.
It's kind of like, well, you're successful at that part. You've got that, so you've been successful at getting a song on MTV and at helping your career X percent. But
Hmm.
overall success, no, because the band was in turmoil and for a lot of different reasons, and so it wasn't successful to me. I was it, kind of battling things, trying to get through it, kind of get from point A to point B. Success, what's that? Well, hell, I got to get from point A to point B. Then let's talking about success.
Yeah.
Uh, Whereas now, I don't think like that. I think about like, well, we're all happy. We got good people that can really do the job. Everybody's
Hmm.
plays great, and we all get along great. So, like I said, that's success to me. Has
Well,
been
that'll
it.
project from the stage too, with you
It
guys
does.
are like that.
It does. I never used to think, used to see bands. We toured with some bands that I won't mention their name, but huge bands, 30,000 people. And I knew they didn't get along. I mean, they'd come off stage and we're there because we're playing the show. And these guys, some of them hated each other,
Yeah.
but they were so big and had such big hits they could get away with it. But there are a lot of bands that were lesser than that, and they couldn't. People could see it and feel it in their music and know
Hmm.
that they're not happening. They're not happy. That's not going to work, and I don't want to go see that anymore. You got to be pretty big to overcome that,
Yeah, you
you
do.
know, to
I
really
think
be miserable.
my cousin tried getting me to write a book, and I thought, man, I don't know that I know enough about it, but the psychology of bands. I think that would be, I don't know how much it would sell, but it would be an interesting read, I think, of just,
It would.
the dynamic. I mean, there's got to be somebody that rides herd. There's that whole crowd instinct that can take place even in those smaller numbers, but it would be, I think it would be a fascinating read. I would like it at
It,
least.
it would, because that has nothing to do with how successful a given band is to help sell your book. And it doesn't, you're not relying on the Beatles or Led Zeppelin. We're talking about the psychology of a band, which is all the same. From the
Hmm. Hmm.
Beatles, Alcatrazz, it's all that same mentality to make a band and make it work.
Hmm.
And then somebody in the band is usually driven to see, well, what we need to do is this. And a lot of people are followers. They just like, oh,
Yep.
well, okay. you know, and you have to, so yeah, that would be an interesting book. That
I
really,
liken it, yeah, I liken it to group projects in college. I hated them, absolutely hated them because there was only always one or two people who did 95% of the work.
yeah,
And then the rest just goes, well, what do you want me to do? It's kind of
yeah,
like that. And that, I think
yeah.
bands are very much the same way. Yeah.
It is, you have no idea. It's exactly the same.
Yep.
And I've, and okay, one argument would be, well, you can't have five guys driving the bus, okay, fine. But in a perfect world, you need five guys that can support and have ideas and
Hmm.
not be ego driven, but just be like, okay, well, I just throw this out there. What if we did X? And then you'd go, wow, yeah, hey, good idea. And then you incorporate that and it all
Right.
works. And maybe that person never says another thing about anything for a year, but he
Yeah.
comes up with a couple of cool ideas. But unfortunately, that's not the way it works, because people
Yeah.
get frustrated and they always think the grass is greener. They always think, oh man, I know we make more money if we just did this,
Or they
and
think the spotlight's only on them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so that you're right. That's like, that would be a great book. That'd be a great read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I might do it.
did,
Who knows?
did did you take that? Did you study that in college?
No,
Psychology?
no, I was a finance major. I wish though.
Ah,
I mean, that's the thing though. I don't know that I'm necessarily qualified to handle the psychology of it, but from a layman's level, just, reading people and such, I get along with most people. So, I can approach it from that angle or talk to psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever. But I do think I mean, it's almost like the Jimmy Johnson approach to bands, how he handled the Dallas Cowboys or, people
right.
like that. So it's just, how do people get along really is what
And
it boils down
can
to.
you imagine? So you got a band, and you're trying to get five people to get along and stuff, and who's ever in charge of the Cowboys, if it's Jimmy Johnson's really hands on, my God, he's got 50 or 60 people, and
Hmm.
all this pressure of you better win a Super Bowl this year.
Oh, that
You
comes
know,
from the boss, the owner, Jerry Jones. I mean, so
right. And so you got to think about whoever's in charge of that. You got to go buy some players. And then you
hmm.
got to make, okay, I bought this guy and this guy, and this has happened in sports. They go out and buy some superstars, and these guys get together, and it's like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
One guy hits a couple home runs, or does this or does that, and it doesn't work. Same in a band. And I tell people, they some young guys, and they'll say, "Well, yeah, I just talked to a guy actually that was well, I can't get into who he was, but he was all excited. He'd done a solo record, his first solo record as a guitar player. Uh, and he went out and hired, he had some money. So he hired all these known people to play keyboards and drums um, and stuff like that. And so he was talking to me all proud of that. And he was a little bit arrogant about it, like he had just created the wheel. And I said, well, that's great. He's a great player. He's a great keyboard player. Whoa, man. And that guy's a great drummer, great bass player. I said, but who wrote the songs? And he said, well, I did. And then he says, and the singer did this, and I did this. And I said, well, how much time did you put in the songs? Did you put as much time into writing the songs as you did locating a keyboard player and negotiating with a famous bass player, whatever? And I told him, I said, that won't do you any good. All those players won't do you any good. Instead of selling 10 records, you'll sell 12 because you got Johnny Famous,
Yeah.
playing. I said, it just doesn't matter. It's all about the song. And if you
Hmm.
look through history at some of the bands that have had massive hits, the players were, they weren't great players,
No.
but they gelled. The Beatles all weren't those kind of players. They were great
Right.
players in a different way, but they
Right.
weren't like these hot shot, like, oh my God.
Right.
Uh,
It weren't a super group.
no, not at all.
No.
And you don't need a super group to sell records and to be
That's right.
famous. You need a vibe.
A
The,
vibe.
the
You got to touch
singers
hearts.
the singer's really good and you can connect with people because it's an emotional thing. And you can get a famous keyboard player or guitar player or whatever. If that's not contributing to the emotion of you connecting with an audience, then it's worthless. But there could be some unknown guy that's playing keyboards that's just got the right vibe. People
Hmm.
aren't so interested in the notes of a guitar player or a keyboard player as they are and I don't think they break it down and go, well, I'm interested in this or that. It's just a feeling. And when it all gels as a band, they don't care how it gelled or which one of those guys is really a key to that. It's just working. It's a
Yeah.
good band.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands like that have had success that weren't the best players by any means.
Yep.
So
I agree.
psychology, that's a good one though. Psychology of a band. Because that doesn't pin you down to being writing about a certain band or a certain genre or any. You've
Right.
got a wide open field. You could be writing about the Carpenters or
Hmm.
ABBA or
Hmm.
and that research is
Alabama. Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That research would not be as difficult to do as some other research would be. Um,
Agreed.
I mean, Alabama, you could find out about those guys,
Hmm.
and you might have to make a few calls to get a little deeper into the psychology of what was going on in the band, but you could find out about different bands, about their publishing fights and their
Yeah.
songwriting fights and stuff like that. There's people that know about that.
Yep.
And if you found out about them, you say, well, why? And they go, well, because so and so thought that this song was better than that guy's song.
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
you could do that.
Yep. I may do that. It'd be a nice side project for me to do. But
That'd be really interesting. I'd buy that.
I'd give you a signed copy of it.
Well,
So,
I'd appreciate it. I'll tell you. Gary Shea just wrote a book called
oh,
No Bass, No Party, and it's been out for a few months, and it's fantastic. Gary, um, there's a lot of, ironically, he's talking about a lot of psychology in there. He doesn't call it psychology, but if you read it, you can you get that feeling that he's talking about different people's mentalities, basically.
yeah. Yeah.
And he's not making a big deal about it or anything like that, but it's a really good read on part of what we're talking about is having a band, making a band, and what it takes to have a band. Because
Yeah.
Gary goes through that for his own career,
Hmm.
and which is a really what Gary did is very typical, what a lot of us did
Yep.
to to be here right now.
Yep.
I
Cool.
heard an interview with Styx with Dennis DeYoung once, and he said, if we would have known how hard it is when we got together, we would have never done this.
Wow.
Because we didn't know. We just fell into it and just started, you know, doing this, and people started liking it and things started to happen. So we were like, yeah, this is what it's supposed to be. Look at us, we're rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they wrote good songs, talented guys, but he said we'd have never done it. And I know a lot of people. I'll bet you'd hear the same thing out of a lot of guys.
Yep.
God, I'd have known this.
Funny story. I interviewed Lawrence Gowan earlier this year. He took Dennis's place, what, 25 years ago or so. And I didn't have the oh shoot. I didn't have the question written down. And I don't know what possessed me to ask it. And if I thought another 2 seconds more, I probably wouldn't have asked it, but I'm
Yeah.
glad I did. And that was I asked them, how how did you feel about South Park doing Sail Away? And I don't know if you've ever seen that video, but it's
No.
hysterical. It's absolute.
Oh,
Look it up.
I can
You got
imagine.
don't get just the vid. I mean, the audio's cute, but you got to see the actual scenes from that, and it's kind of, you have to look for it. There's a lot of it out there, but there's only a couple where it's actually from the episode, where all the scenes of the Martians and the all that, and it was absolutely hysterical. And the second I asked it, I thought, Randy, you dummy, you should have cleared that first. He loved it. And he said, yeah, after every show I go on the bus and I watch it. I don't know if he was making that up or not.
Right.
So I put the interview out there, and there was like 2 or 3 magazines picked it up and comment. I mean, it went semi-viral as far as
Wow.
information goes, and other people picking it up, and it was like, who knew? Who knew? But it's one of those things where people took, was able to allow themselves to be part of humor. I don't think they were really being made fun of. Certainly not the song or the band, but
Right.
but
Right.
um, but it allowed it to bring things down to a couple levels to where people weren't taking things quite as serious.
Yes.
And and if people, I think if bands did that, crowds would sense that too, and the ripple effect of it emotionally would be pretty cool.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think humor does that. And especially you talk about South Park. I mean, that's the basic thing. I love South Park. I just think it's brilliant. Those guys that did that are just, and I just saw a show on that. The guy that created it and stuff, and him talking and how his kids reacted to it. And he
Mm-hmm.
would hear episodes, his kids would be in the car playing an episode on their phones. And he's driving. And he said, he'd hear something familiar and he goes, what are you doing? They said, well, we're playing the one with so and so and so. And he didn't even remember. He'd done 800 episodes.
Wow.
And he goes,
Wow.
some of them I just didn't remember. But yeah, you got a good point there. It's like that brings it all down to a street level where
Yeah. Well,
everybody can laugh at that.
when you have Cartman doing Dennis's voice, it's it's
That
just epic.
that's
So you
oh
just
my,
just go on YouTube and punch in "Sail
I
Away"
will.
or "South Park Sail Away" episode, and then I mean a lot of them just show still shots. That's not the one I'm talking about. You want to see, you know, actually how it was on the episode, and
I am
that's
gonna
what makes
find
it
that.
funny.
I will find it. That sounds great. You got
So,
me interested for sure. Now, where did
well,
you
last
come up with that? You just off the top of your head, just to ask him that?
well, I mean, I've got kind of a warped sense of humor anyway, but for some reason, years before, my daughter said, Dad, check out South Park. And she showed me that episode. And I was laughing so hard, I couldn't help it. And then, that still little impish voice kind of whispers that one in your ear while you're interviewing a rock
Because
star.
you're
And
talking to the singer. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, Lawrence didn't record it originally, but
Right.
he's
He
the
wasn't
voice
what
now
South
on
Park was
stage.
about. Yeah.
Right, right.
But
And
still,
so just, I mean, it's so irreverent humor anyway, but I
yeah, that's
just,
great.
so I lucked out on that one. I didn't hack off Lawrence on
Yeah. One of
on
those guys would
pitching
go,
that one
yeah,
up
hey,
to me.
thanks a lot. Goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask to interview us again. So
Yeah. Yeah. Lose my number.
right, please. But final question for you: what's on
Sure.
your radar for the rest of the year and going into next year for Anthrax?
Um, we are going on tour. Let's see. Alcatrazz tour starts November 9th in Sweden, and we finish in Germany December the 8th.
Oh wow, okay,
So that's on the docket right now. This record will be on the streets November 7th.
okay,
The singles have been coming out, but the actual album will be on the streets. We're writing for a new record after this.
yay! All
We've been
right,
writing, and Giles and I and Joe have been writing for that, and that'll be coming out next year. I don't know when, because it'll depend on we've got about 20 songs, but we're hard on ourselves about that. So we'll pick through everything, and a lot of stuff will go right away, and then somebody will get an idea and we go, hey, got a new one. And so then
mm-hmm.
another one will go. So it evolves, but that's what we're doing. We're
Cool.
touring starting November 9th, we're touring. Well, we rehearsed for a couple of days in Sweden, in Gothenburg, Sweden, and then play a show in Gothenburg, and then play Sweden and Finland and Norway, I think. And then we fly down to Belgium,
Ah,
and then we start the rest of Europe uh, touring.
very
But
good.
that's what's on the docket this year for Alcatraz. Yeah,
Well, well, man, I'll keep an eye on you guys, and if you get near me, say within a couple hours, I want to catch you guys live and meet you backstage, and shake
yeah.
hands
Well,
and
it'd be really cool, and I would love that. And with Alcatraz, I don't know. Um, I just don't know when we're touring America again, because
yeah.
we did um,
Hmm.
a year or so ago. But yeah, if we do, that'd be great. I'd love to meet you
Yeah. Well, and
in
if you're going to
person.
be working with anybody else and going to be near the area, my email address is real easy. It's randy@boomerocity.com. So
Yeah,
drop me a
I
note
got it.
and we'll hang and be good to meet you face to face. And
Yes,
man, when this Alcatraz album starts looking like it's coming out next year, let's do one of these and do
yes,
some pre-buzz on it. Okay.
I would love to. And
All
I'm
right,
sure
man.
Michael will hit you up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, Michael's a good guy. He's
yeah, he's a really good guy and he's on it.
yeah,
He
he is.
knows what he's doing. He's been there, done that. He's like
Yes, he
yourself,
has.
been doing it a lot of years. He knows the way it's run. So I
Yep.
know I'll be seeing more of you.
Oh, good, good. And any other projects you're working on, just let me know, and I'd love to do my part to help get the word out. I mean, I'm
I
I'm not
really
Rolling
appreciate
Stone.
that.
I'm not Rolling Stone magazine, thank God. But hey, I've got the
Hey,
regular followers, and that can help fill in those gaps.
and
So.
Rolling Stone magazine only does very select bands for very select reasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's got
Mm-hmm.
to be a fashion thing or a trendy thing or Taylor Swift, you know, which is fine. I love Taylor Swift, but that's Taylor Swift.
That's right. Different
That's a
crowd.
woman that changed the economy in the United States for a minute. So
That's right. Never has to work again. So.
I don't think so. You won't catch her at Walmart, put it that way.
or Dollar General.
No, yeah. You won't believe who's working at Dollar General. Well, who? Taylor Swift is the cashier at Dollar General. That'd be talk about a goof, a sense of humor. If she set that up right, that would be a funny. funny thing for her to do. The only thing is, I guess
Saturday Night Live.
it'd be a slap in the face to some Dollar General people. I don't know how that works, but to see Taylor Swift on a video, not all made up and everything, but looking like a regular, girl, checking people out and
Yeah,
people looking at her going, because a lot of people wouldn't recognize her, and some people would go, "You look like Taylor Swift," and she go, "Oh, thank you,"
I get
and
that
then,
all the time.
yeah, I get that all the time. Oh my God. I could see you and I could create some problems here. Yeah.
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 Davy Jones told me once, he goes, fans are so funny. He goes, they'll come up to me in the store. He goes, I had a lady come up to me once and go, do you know who you are?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I had the band New England in Boston,
Mm-hmm.
and Gary Shea and I were riding a subway to rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
And or back home from rehearsal about 9 o'clock at night, and we were tired, and Gary had his bass. And we're sitting on the subway, and a guy sitting across from us, he looks at us and he goes, "You guys, you're Joe Perry," because he had hair like Joe Perry. And he says, "You're Joe Perry. You guys are out. You guys are Aerosmith." And we went, "No." And then I said, "No, we're not Aerosmith, and we're whoever we were we're New England at the time." And he says, "Oh, come on, don't lie." And he made a thing out of it. So that's what I did. I stopped and I said, "Do you think Aerosmith is riding a subway with a guitar going to and from a rehearsal?" I said, "Think about it, how big Aerosmith is. At that time, they were at their peak. Those
Right.
guys were making millions of dollars." I said,
And
"So,
snorting most of it.
yeah, what are you thinking?" And the guy looked at me and he went, "Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." I said, "No, no offense, but I just, hey, Aerosmith doesn't ride subways at that
That's
point."
right. I think Steven is living in Nashville now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Or he
Huh.
has a home there. And his ex girlfriend lives there too, BB Buell, Liv Tyler's mom.
Oh, yeah.
She lived,
I
her and
met
her
her.
husband live there. Yeah.
I
So,
met her when I worked with Todd Rundgren.
oh yeah, yeah. I went back when she was with Todd. Yeah.
I was doing a New England record up at Todd Rundgren's house, and
Wow.
uh, and for a couple of weeks, and she was there. I had dinner
Hmm.
one night. I went up for dinner, and she was there. I didn't know who she was. I wasn't familiar with the model scene. She was
Right.
very nice,
Yeah.
and to me, it was just like me and Todd and her and the babysitter
Yeah.
were having dinner, and I didn't know. And then later, somebody said, "Well, who was at dinner?" And I told them, and they said, "Do you know who that was? That little baby? That was Liv Tyler's." And that was Liv Tyler. And I was like, "What?"
Yep.
That made me feel old. I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I could have been her father."
Yeah, Liv talks a bit about, I mean, not Liv, I'm sorry, BB talks a lot about that in her book and about how that all came about. Interesting read, to say the
I'm
least.
sure. She
So,
seemed like a very nice person, and
yeah,
Todd's a nice
yeah,
guy. So,
yeah.
uh, and I knew Steven Tyler years before. We played some gigs together just as they were getting going.
Yeah.
Uh, I think they had made their first record, and they hadn't toured yet, and it wasn't out yet. Maybe we were playing a club in Boston, and they
Hmm.
were playing the afternoon show, and then we'd play the night show, and swap the next day and help
Wow.
each other take our gear off the stage.
How
But they were
nice.
cool guys, really
Only
cool.
guy I've interviewed from them was Joey Kramer when he came out with his book. And, I don't know what's going on with him. It doesn't sound good, but I hope he's getting better, whatever's ailing him.
I
But
don't
that book
know.
was a good read.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them. I kind
Mm.
of lost touch with them. And the truth is, I'm in my own world musically, and
Yeah.
I don't really do Facebook because it's a big distraction to me.
Yeah.
And
It is.
I'm gonna start doing it musically and try to keep it about music.
Yeah.
and stuff. But
Well, I'll watch
yep.
for that and definitely follow you guys on there too. And
Well, I appreciate it. Alcatrazz has one, and which is good because it's about Alcatrazz. It's about the
right.
music. So I
Hmm.
need to do one for myself, though. People keep going, "Oh, why don't you have a Facebook page?" But I don't want to talk politics with people. I
No.
don't want to waste my time talking about this or that.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about music or
Yep.
something that's,
Yeah.
whatever. I like to skeet
Needs to
shoot.
be
So,
neutral. Needs to be neutral territory. That's what I try to be. I have my political opinions, but
right.
nobody cares what those are, and they just want to argue anyway. So let's just talk about
You
music.
know, I tell people that scream at me about they're ranting and raving about something, and I go, and I disagree with them, but I don't say anything. I listen. Then when they get done, I go, okay, you know what? You convinced me. I'm in. I'm on your team now. So let's get to work. What are we going to do about it?
and
Because
that's where
I'm
it
in.
stops. Yeah.
Let's do it. And then that's the end of it right there because they go, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And I said, oh, so would you say we'd be wasting our time to try to do? Yeah. Okay. Because there's nothing I can do about it. Why would I bother? Gosh,
We can vote our conscience and be nice
yeah.
to each other. That's the best thing we can do right
I
now.
think that's the most important thing in the world is to
I
be
agree.
nice to each other, be nice to your to to people.
I
Um,
absolutely.
because the rest of it like you said, just vote.
That's
And you've
right.
done your job. If you
There
vote,
you
you've
go.
done your job and you've expressed your opinion the way it's supposed to be expressed, and if that'll do good or not do good or
Yep.
whatever. But yeah, but if you're just nice to people, gosh, I'm just tired of people fighting.
I have people unfriend me and all that on Facebook because I mean I didn't disagree with them, but I didn't agree with them. I just would not comment. And
But that's
they
where it's at. Yeah.
yeah, that's you can't I like Elvis's approach. Elvis Presley. He said, "Look, I keep my political opinions to myself. I'm just an entertainer." And
Yeah.
that's how he lived it, man. And I thought, hey, if it works for the king, it can work for me.
Well, and I would agree with that 100%. And that's where I'm at. So, but you're right. People get mad at you for not jumping on their bandwagon.
Yep.
And that in itself is like, wow, you got a problem. You know,
That's
if
right.
you want to talk about it, just conversation, that's no, if we're having coffee or riding in a van for 10 hours,
Yep.
let's talk. But don't get emotional about it and get all self-righteous and tell me I'm wrong. I'm not telling you you're wrong. But if you want to discuss things, that's fine. I'm
Yep.
I'm with
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't get involved in it. And Facebook to me is what used to be anyway, very negative. People would friend. I was in the Grand Bonnet Band. There were people in the band that were on Facebook a lot, and they'd come into rehearsal all upset about, I can't believe this person said this about me, or about this subject that they disagreed with. And one of them had a fight with somebody on there for 2 days over gun control.
Mm.
And this person in the band was upset about that. And she didn't, you know, I actually don't even know what she was upset of, whether she was in or out, but oh my God. But she was just the fact was she was upset about something that she couldn't do anything about. And I thought,
Yep.
part of your brain is frying because of that.
That's
So
right.
now multiply that times, and there's another thing on there about this and that you got involved in. Another person you were yelling at yesterday and had a big cut. It's like,
It's a cesspool. It's a
yeah,
cesspool. I
that's
just
it's a
I,
cesspool. That's
I
good.
like keeping up with friends. I like seeing certain news like bands and artists and such.
Yeah,
And I put Boomerocity stuff out there and that's where it stays with me. I'm not going to get in the ring and duke it out with anybody because
yeah.
I can't articulate that stuff nearly as well as other people can. I'll let other people fight my side of the opinion, whatever that may be. I
Yeah,
let people know that there's a new Alcatrazz album out, and I'm happy doing that.
I appreciate that very much. You have no idea. I really appreciate that.
Well, let's stay in touch, and I'll keep
Okay.
my eyes open for you guys. And
Okay.
like I said, Jimmy, if you got other projects going on with other people, let me know, man. I'll
Okay.
help get the word out by
Okay.
doing one of
I
these.
I would appreciate that very much. That's
All right,
great.
good deal. Well,
All
stay
righty. I got
healthy, and we'll talk to you sometime soon.
same to you and thank you. And I got your email.
All righty, thanks a lot, man. We'll talk to you
Thank
later.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been another fun-filled episode of Boomerocity with your host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quinton Hope. Quinton is spelled Quinten, and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quinton at quintonhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerocity and/or its assignees. Inquiries should be directed to input@boomerocity.com. Copyright 2025.